ladies and gentlemen, to the Proper Picks podcast. Not a sexy week for us. We go 5-8 minus 3.41 units for the week. Quickly, we'll recap baseball. We went 2-1 plus 0.35 units for the week. Had the Yankees and the Mets on the same night last week. Mets lose 4-1. Yankees win 7-6. That game against Boston for the Yankees was a heater. Braves win 5-2 on Sunday. Decent week in baseball. We're kind of slowing down there as we kind of shift the focus over to football. College football, we go 3-2. We didn't have a massive amount of units out. 2 one-unit ball games and 3 half units. Oklahoma cruises against Nebraska. North Texas just they were there early, and UNLV just ran away with it late. It was ugly. I was shocked at North Texas's defense. Not much you can say about that. BYU loses 41-20. Oregon was pretty much in control the whole way, and I want to say BYU might have been a little high from the week prior. Oregon's probably a little hungrier than we thought with that Georgia beatdown they took. So we lose both of the half units there. We took USC against Fresno State. They steamroll them. -12 was the line. We pick up the unit there. Ohio State -31 for a half unit. That was a card ad for us on Twitter. They ended up winning by 56, I believe. Not even close. That line could have been 40, and we'd have probably taken it. I was kind of waiting to see if maybe it would go down a hair before we grabbed it, but 31 was still obviously a decent number to grab it at. Moving over to the NFL, this is where the week went south for us and where we took our L. We had the Commanders plus 2.5 against Detroit. Was not buying into the Detroit hype. I think the offense looks much better. Amon St. Brown, DeAndre Swift looked very good. And just, Wentz played a good ball game. But he had 4 touchdowns, but it just wasn't enough. They lose by 9. The Ravens, this one was the one that hurt. Even though it was a half unit L for us, it was locked. 28-7 at half, almost turned the damn channel. And before you know it, Tua gets revving up. Tua has 6 touchdowns, 400 yards passing. Tyreek Hill and Waddle going off every other play for what seemed like a 60-yard grab. We take the L there as they lose by 4. The Bengals was our bet of the week, and it crashed and burned. This knocked me out of a survivor pool. It killed me in some DraftKings lineups as I was taking Bengals players left and right, thinking this was going to be a massive game for them, a little bounce back from their Steelers loss. And I'll be honest, the offensive line looked so bad. It was making me think, man, the Cowboys must just have a badass defense, but I really didn't agree with the play calling late. Not really my job. It doesn't really matter. But running the ball in the fourth quarter down just made no sense to me. They were going to have a lot of things go right for them just to even win that ball game. The spread really was never in question for the Cowboys. So we took the 3-unit L there, and then we had to wait till Monday night to watch old primetime Kirk Cousins just blow it up for me. I'm probably done with Kirk for a while. He's burned me enough. I was really buying in after that win against the Packers. And that's kind of, it's kind of the cap there. 5-8 minus 3.41. We had a great week last week. We're hoping to steamroll it again into this week. It just did not happen for us. Limited the losses though, not slinging too many units out there on Saturday as the slate just wasn't as, I wouldn't say sexy for us as we would have wanted. But we will have to bounce back this week. That's the beauty of the sports gambling is we will head into this week hoping to have a nice little bounce back. And we'll slide over to the best. And we are back for the Proper Picks best bets of the weekend, moving into college and NFL football. If you look over to the left side of the screen, we've got the all plays record up 508, 585, and 7. That's up 54.4 units. We're creeping in on almost a year now for the Proper Pick squad. We started in November of last year, so we're creeping up on a year there. College football record is now at 13-10 plus 10.2 units. NFL a dismal 3-8 minus 5.39 units. We have been on the wrong side of some fourth quarters here. The last couple weeks. And if you look over to the top right, we got the futures. Bama plus 190 to win the Natty for 3 units. Still looking like a decent bet. Auburn plus 140 over 6.5 wins for 3 units. Took a little bit of a hit there this weekend. If you grab that Penn State W, that bet looks so tasty. I think the way they lost has me feeling a little doubtful for that future play. We've got the Chiefs plus 900 on the money line to win the Super Bowl. I think by all accounts that bet looked solid before the season and is still a solid in play. And we got the Jags plus 40 under 6 wins. They are 1-1 as we stand with a big blowout over the Colts. And then the Steelers minus 105, under 7.5 wins. They are 1-1 as well. And we get right into it. College football, we've got 3 plays. First, we're taking Alabama minus 40 for a unit. They've got Vanderbilt this weekend. This line, this is one of those games where I feel like the handicappers honestly don't know where to put it. Should it be 55? It could be, let's be honest. But this is, to me, just one of those scenarios. The reason why I like it, I tend to stay away from the big lines, the minus 35s, 38s, 41s. But this, to me, is more of like a system play. Not necessarily that I have a bunch of like computers running around here telling me what to pick. This is all my picks off feel. But Nick usually opens up really well in the SEC, and it usually doesn't matter who he's playing. Now, one bonus here would be if Vanderbilt was undefeated. I know Saban would go out and beat him 60-7, because he loves doing that to teams that are kind of on the up and up. My theory with this one, though, is the Alabama defense should be able to keep Vanderbilt in check pretty much the whole game. I don't see more than 14 points on the board for Vanderbilt, and that 14 to me is being generous. So we would need 50-plus out of Bama, and I don't think that's a stretch for us to get it on Vanderbilt. Their defense is one of the worst in the country if you look at just pure talent and what's back, and I think they've overperformed so far this year. Let's keep in mind we had Wake Forest a couple weeks ago who drummed them, and the game was never really in doubt. Now we're talking about taking Alabama. I think Bryce Young will feast. We're talking 300-plus. Keep the Heisman talk momentum going. I think you'll see a lot out of Jahmyr Gibbs as well. So we're going to have Bama for the unit. USC minus 6. They're going to Oregon State. Line looks a hair trappy, but I think in the normal USC standing, this would be a trap game. But I think this is a whole different animal with Lincoln Riley. We have been on the right side of USC twice, and I'm just going to continue it. I believe they're 3-0 against the spread. So eventually, you would assume they're not going to go 12-0 against the spread. But I just don't think this is the one where they let up. I think Oregon State's a decent football team. The offense is solid. I don't think their defense is that good. And USC has been priming on offense, 40-plus every week. Like I said, 3-0 against the spread. And I'm going to ride them until Lincoln has a slip-up game. They've got some big games on the horizon for them, and I just don't think this is one where you want to take it lightly and let it slip. And at this moment, they're in a national championship race. I believe they're the only Pac-12 team right now that sits in the top 20. Maybe Oregon just snuck back in there after that win over BYU. So they're the front runner for the Pac-12, and it's all kind of out there in front of them. I am 100% in belief if they go undefeated, they're going to put them in. And then my third game for the day will be a rivalry game, Florida versus Tennessee. We're going to take Florida plus the 10.5. I do believe that Tennessee wins this ball game, but I think this is a last drive type game. That's just my personal belief on this. I think Tennessee wants to beat Florida really bad. So my theory is it's going to be hype. Game day is going to be there, but I just think normalcy is going to play out here, and Florida is going to be able to hang around in this ball game. I wouldn't be surprised late if Florida had the lead, and Tennessee maybe scores around the end to get the eventual W. But I'm just not as confident on laying that money line bet. I believe it's at plus 300 right now. It's not a bad play in my opinion. Let's keep in mind Florida hasn't lost to Tennessee but once in 12 years. So what's all really changed? You know what I mean? That's the kind of reasoning I'm giving here. Rivalry game. Let's keep it close. Let's go ahead and sweep and go 3-0 for a Saturday. Moving into Sunday, technically we're going to go into Thursday. Browns Steelers under 38.5 on Thursday Night Football. Half unit on this one. This was one I was kind of debating whether or not to wait and see if it went up a little bit and used it as a card ad on Twitter, but I'm going to go ahead and we locked it in today. I just think these Thursday and Sunday and Monday night primetime games are always kind of underwhelming when it comes to the offensive side. It seems to take teams on Thursday a little while to get going. And we're talking about Mitch Trubisky and Jacoby Brissett here. Now, Steelers-Jets just went to 61, so I imagine Browns-Jets just went to 61, so I imagine Tomlin's going to be feasting, trying to throw some points up. But with you have Mitch Trubisky, I just feel like you're going to get a heavy dose of Najee. There's going to be some play action. The clock's going to be moving. Browns are going to run Nick Chubb. This thing just, to me, sets up for a 17-14, 20-14 type ball game. I'm not saying it's not going to be close, but I think the play here is the under, and especially on these Thursday night football games, which tend to go low scoring. And then moving into Sunday, This one to me is the tricky one because I have a feeling that I will add units to this. But as of right now, we're going to play a 1-unit bet on it, and it might sit there. Chiefs minus 6.5 against the Colts. I'm trying my best to not look back to weeks to see how other teams played. This has nothing to do about the Colts, in my opinion. I know they just lost to the Jags. Jags beat them 24-0. Everyone thinks the Colts are the worst team in the world. I imagine the Colts will get hyped for this as Patty Mahomes comes into town, but that's the reason why I'm taking it. I think the Chiefs through the first 2 weeks, if they're not the best, they're the second best team in the NFL through 2 weeks. And I just think going into a reeling Colts team and Patty Mahomes on the other side, and that offense is kind of moving and grooving. Clyde Allaire is getting a little more piece of the puzzle this year. Kelsey's doing what he always does. Juju had a good game 1, slow game 2, but they've got Valdez, Scantling, Hardman. There's other pieces of that puzzle. And the Chiefs' defense is no slouch either. So unless Jonathan Taylor just runs wild, 240, 250 plus and 3 scores, I don't see how the Chiefs don't run this 14 points. In the NFL, they don't get too crazy on the spreads, but this just seems 3.5, 4 points wrong. So we're going to take the Chiefs for a unit. And then we're going to take the Ravens at the Patriots. To me, this is just your bounce-back spot. Ravens had a huge letdown in the fourth quarter, and really the whole second half against the Dolphins got torched. I think this is a whole different type of team they're going to be going up against. If the Ravens offense plays the way they should and have, I don't see a world where the Ravens couldn't actually break this thing wide open. I don't think Mac Jones and the Patriots offense has enough in the tank to do what Tua and them just did. Not enough weapons. I do know Bill will scheme for Lamar, try to make it difficult on him. I see this as a game, honestly, where Lamar might take a little more over on his feet instead of through the air. So that's going to be our 3 for college football and our 3 picks for the NFL this weekend. We've got a nice little 3-game lay down there on the bottom right. It's going to be Alabama, USC, and the Chiefs. 2 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. We've got that at a unit at plus 600. Hope everybody has a great weekend. Let's cash. Let's collect some coin. Bet proper. And I'll be back next week. Hope everybody.